Mrs. Springfield chuckled. In the decade that I'd worked there previously, I'd never seen an Amazon enrolled in Bof's class, yet alone one young enough to actually be a child. The most Jeremy might get was diapered detention, and even that was unlikely. Not for making fun of a little. Jeremy didn't know that. Jeremy's teacher cut in. You know whose little boy that is, right, Jeremy? Mrs. Springfield asked. That's Ms. Grange's baby. Do you really want him going to his mommy later today and telling her you were picking on him? I'd never seen someone go so pale so quickly before that day. Janet Grange, teacher turned friend turned mommy, and the terror of 3rd grade. Please don't. Jeremy's voice turned into almost a squeak. He looked at me. His hands folded up in front of him. Please don't, Mr. G.I. His name is Clark, Mrs. Springfield interrupted. Please don't tell your mommy on me, Clark. I'll be good. I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. I won't do it again. I promise. The words were almost a waterfall out of his mouth. Now everyone's eyes were on the verge of bursting out of their heads with surprise. Mine included. Fine, I mumbled and looked the other way. Just go, in my favor or not, I didn't want this much attention placed on me. Springfield waved on and her class picked up the pace towards the PE field. Both waited till they were out of earshot and then looked down the line. I'm sorry you all had to see that, Bof told us. But sometimes there's no use arguing sense with the senseless, so you have to fight crazy with crazy. The irony of that statement coming from Bof's mouth seemed completely lost on her. Does anyone need a hug? To my surprise, a few hands went up. Elle stared down the line. Several of the other littles looked just as shaken as I felt. Maybe it was Jeremy's mocking. Perhaps it was Bof's sudden turn, or using their treatment as a way to threaten that. Maybe they weren't as numb to all this crazy as I gave them credit for. Perhaps they were more mind-fucked than they showed and grown-ups yelling triggered something in them. Bof gave everyone who wanted one a quick hug, and an I love you. Including Annie. Let's go. We're missing lunch. As stated earlier, the cafeteria at noon was infinitely better than it was in the morning. Several classes had already been in and out, and though the lively roar was still there, it resembled an assembly line more so than a kicked anthill. I managed to see the tail end of Trace's kids, not Ambrose's, never Ambrose's, wind into the serving line as the heavy cafeteria door and the blower fan closed behind Chaz's stroller. None of the other students looked at us beyond the errant 5th grader trying not to trip over our handhold line while throwing away her garbage. These kids had seen littles toddle to their high-chair feeding area countless times. With us being the last group to eat, everyone had already seen and taken note of the new communal setup. Officially old news. The tweener lunch lady from this morning was already wheeling out a tray of food, bibs, and bottles for us. Sorry for running late, I heard Bof say over the throng. It's okay, the lunch lady said. Food's still warm. I thought she looked at me again, possibly even shaking her head a bit as she turned around and retreated back to the kitchen. A sullen shrug that seemed to broadcast oh well pretty much summed it up. We were threaded into the seats again. Mercifully, Ivy was at the other table. Based on the back of Sandra Lynn's head, she wasn't interested in speaking to me. Just as well. Once the bibs were draped and fastened, disposable black plastic bowls of macaroni and cheese were placed in front of us. My hands tingled in anticipation, and not the good time. Breakfast had been finger foods. They didn't expect us to eat with our hands, did they? A spoon stuck straight up in each batch of the cheesy goop put an end to that notion. None of my cohorts leaned forward to take the spoon. Don't touch, Bof warned, or I'll have to get out the mittens. My lips flapped with what must have been the millionth frustrated sigh of the day. They were going to spoon feed us. Look on the bright side, Chaz called from the seat next to mine. 5-to-1 ratio, they don't have time to do any dips and dives and games. A spoonful of yellow pasta coming straight for his mouth proved his point. Next came mine. Good boy. Both chirped when I didn't put up a fight and accepted my own mouthful of macaroni. Sandra Lynn, open you up, she sang. Sorry you ended up here, Chaz said. I really thought you had stuff figured out when you gave me that talk last year. I bowed my head. Me too. You okay? he asked. I shook my head. No. Good. I must have looked hurt. Chaz added, the only person in our class who feels okay is Ivy. We stopped long enough for another serving of macaroni and cheese. If something's not wrong, then it's too late for you. That what happened to you? I asked. Something went too right for you and now you crawl? I wasn't trying to be unkind, but when I'd first met Chaz, he'd been able to walk. Part of me wondered if his regression was in part because of his youth. He'd barely lived an adult life before the Amazons took it away from him. A flash of discomfort on Chaz's face. Happened over the summer, he said. I had the decency not to press further. Through gaps to get spoon-fed and swallow, our conversation continued. What happens after this? I asked. Nap time, Chaz said. Then playground time. Then we go home. And then the next day it would start all over again. We'd do the same things over and over again, week in and week out until we finally cracked completely, and thought of ourselves as the forever children we'd been treated like. Devious in its simplicity. I looked around our area. So many littles. I'd seen them so many times, but committed almost none of their names and faces to memory before. It made them easier to ignore. Who's been here the longest? Ivy. The smirk told me that Chaz was ribbing me. I managed to roll my eyes good-naturedly enough to get a laugh and then a real reply. Ha. He pointed to Sandra Lynn. Look at me, Mrs. Both. Sandra Lynn reached under her bib and dipped the tip of her clipped-on pacifier in the outreached spoon. She popped the bulb into her mouth. Favored Parfy. Both seemed absolutely tickled. Clever girl. But that still won't get you nourishment. Open up. 3 years next month, I think, he said while both continued round the semicircle feeding grown men and women like they were 1-year-olds. Sandra Lynn isn't even her birth name. Mommy and Daddy changed it when they adopted. That wasn't surprising. We couldn't keep our ages, so why would we be entitled to our names? Dolls didn't get to pick their names. What was it before? I dunno. We don't talk about who we used to be too much. Not much point. Another round of cheese-flavored noodles, and a new thought dawned on Chaz when we had swallowed. Maybe that's why everybody is being so extra with you. They still see the ado, the grow. I waved him off. I know what you're saying. None of them had been overly familiar with each other before being enrolled at Oaks Higher Elementary. They only knew each other in one context. I was now not only a reminder of what they used to be, but also a reminder of what they'd become. No one likes to have their failure rubbed in their faces. It's why I closed my eyes the second time Zoj changed me. A belch loud enough to catch my attention rang out and made me look to the other little table. Annie was giggling up a fit and Billy was applauding like she'd performed an operetta. What's with those two? I asked my seatmate. Chaz looked over and saw. The bletch hadn't even registered to him. Who? Annie and Billy? What about them? Are they? I struggled to find the words. Both was too close for me to say the right words or make the right gestures. Yeah, Chaz said. They're boyfriend and girlfriend. How dash. But I cut myself off. Small children knew about romantic relationships and play acted it out often enough. I'd seen actual preschoolers claim to be boyfriend and girlfriend, or boyfriends or girlfriends, even if they didn't really know all that entailed and weren't anywhere near ready to go on a date. It was either that or cooties. Annie and Billy were more than old enough to understand, despite never being allowed to go on anything more intimate than a playdate. Both and Zoj would let it happen within reason, too. It solidified the illusion that they were kids playing roles over prisoners scraping something together. Why are they such? Say Clark. Macaroni stopped me from outright saying they were being total dicks. They're like that with everybody, Chaz assured me. They're pretty cool once you get to know them. Either they learn to respect you, or you learn to ignore them. But why? It's kind of like what you told me, Chaz said. Gotta get your kicks where you can. Little acts of rebellion and all that. He held out a finger. That reminds me. Mrs. B. Chaz's voice shot up. Can I please have some ketchup on my mac and cheese? You mad man. Chaz waited till both started digging for ketchup packets from the tray. Yeah, but it gives her more work to do. It's what I tell myself when I get the runs. His grin was nothing short of deliciously evil. I kind of liked this kid. If Annie and Billy are boyfriend and girlfriend, why'd she kiss you? 'Cause Annie's a freak, Chaz beamed. And I'm freaking cute and I know it. Chaz, language. Yes, The glint in his eyes told me he didn't mean it. A few spoonfuls passed in silence as hunger temporarily eclipsed curiosity. What about everybody else? Chaz broke it down for me. Mandy is a girly girl. Shauna's kind of a tomboy. Tommy's all bark but his Suyuupa competitive. Jesse. He's kind of a doormat and I don't think it has anything to do with this place. Me. You know. Ivy, you really know. He cackled while bowls were taken away and replaced with bottles. I didn't see the kiss in time, but I heard it. I thought she'd punched you or something. I grabbed onto the offered bottle and started to suckle. Shut up, I mumbled under my breath. Chaz snickered hard enough so that air bubbles went into his milk. Good job, Clark. Drink it all up and then it will be time for a nap. Both apparently hadn't heard me. Good. Anything else you wanna know? Chaz asked between sips. Do we ever get chocolate milk? Both answered for him. Fridays. If you're good.